So there is a good reason why I put this little spring thing in here, and I will explain that in a minute. Now, I did get this seat, and the one thing I don't like about Amazon is that when they take pictures, obviously they do it from certain angles. So when you look at this seat from this angle, it looks like it's pretty thick and comfortable. But when you come up and actually look at the seat, it's actually not that thick, not that much padding, and it's all this black hard plastic that is just molded from a certain angle to look like it's thick. So that was a little bit deceiving. Now, it's not horrible. I mean, it does have this nice little vent here, and it is pretty thin in the front, so you know it doesn't pinch or anything, but it is, I guess, a little bit deceptive as far as what they had put in the ad. You know, they were saying super comfortable seat, blah blah blah. It's actually pretty hard, so I'm not 100% sure. That's why I left the tag on here. Not 100% sure. I do like the looks of it. It feels okay, and it does have some cush, but like even the older seat is thicker and bigger. In fact, let me get the older seat. Okay, so this is the old seat, which if you placed them next to each other, the old seat is quite a bit thicker than the new seat. They're about the same size, except for this one just has the hole in it. So I like the looks of it. I'm not a big fan of the cush because, or of the cushion, or the softness, because this one squeezes in. So I probably could just throw the old seat back on there, and it would be more comfortable than that one. I mainly wanted to get this set up here. So I do have the Cloud 9 seat on my wife's bike. I'm actually pretty impressed with some of it. It is very cushy, so that does go in quite a bit. It is wide, so it's pretty supportive. It does have this big hump here, which kind of, you know, contours a little bit. It does have a little bit of a valley. I'm not sure if you can tell on the video, but there is like a V valley here, and then it has a kind of a hump on this side and a hump on that side. And then of course it has these big springs here, which are pretty comfortable. I have to say that when I rode my wife's bike with this seat and spring combination, it did feel pretty good. There's one flaw with the suspension post, and that is the millimeters of length that the post has. So I was thinking that it would be fine. Why would they sell a post that is super short? Well, that is the length of the post. It is, I'd say, 10 inches of post, and then another, I don't know, 2 inches of travel before you get to the bottom of the bike seat. So if you're tall, like myself, I'm 6'2", guess what? You don't get full leg extension. Thus, I had to throw this thing on there. Now, this thing is actually meant to give you some spring also. It was actually, instead of this, that they would have this on there. But I wanted to try and see if it would be, I guess, comfortable to have both on there. So if you line this up right here with this directly above each other, this Allen right here, it will hit. So in order to best utilize this spring, you want to offset them a little bit. Secondarily, what you also have to take in mind or take into account is that the spring will compress more the farther you put it back. Well, if you put it too far back, it is so springy that it almost feels strange to ride it, and you will lose some power on your when you're pedaling. So you're pedaling and this will bounce, 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 bounce because you're so far back and your weight is pretty much pulling it down. So I moved this one farther up and this one farther up and then offset them in order to mitigate some of the bounciness. So it still bounces, but it's less bouncy because the closer you get to the front of this unit, the less this spring will compress. If you look at it, look how hard I have to press in order for that to go down. And it comes right back up, so it's supportive, but it's not that cushy. As opposed to the Cloud 9, I mean, that's so easy. Goes in like butter, snaps right back. So I am definitely leaning towards the Cloud 9 for my setup now. I really set the tension too. So let's show you that. There's a screw Allen right here, and you can either thread it in or out. So the more you thread it out, the softer it gets. The more you thread it in, the springier it gets. And I guess the stronger it gets. If you want it to have a cushy ride, you would have it in this setting here. If you'd want it to have more of a stiffer ride, you would just screw that in. For, I guess, smaller people, the seat post would work great. For tall people, I would suggest going with a longer one. If it's not a better ride, I might just take both these things back to Amazon and get the longer seat post and the Cloud 9 and go that route. I do like this seat the looks of this seat. I think that it's a nice looking seat. Let me give you a close up. So I think that it's good looking. I think it's pretty functional. I think that just the execution of the cushion section of it and the fact that they sloped it. I mean, they sloped it so darn much here that they kind of took they could have made all that cushion and made this straight across like the Cloud 9 is, and that would have been so much more comfortable. So they call it a comfort seat, and it's not. So I would say save your money on this, get the Cloud 9. I think this one was $36. The Cloud 9 was $42, so you're talking $6 difference, or even if this is $10 more, you're getting, if you're going for comfort, this is the way to go. If you're going more for, ergonomics and, more of a sporty look, this would be the way to go. So I'm going to test my seat out. I'm going to give it one more chance before I decide whether I want to turn it in or not back to Amazon, because last time I rode it, it was a little bit hard, but it's been smoky with all the fires, so I haven't really had a chance to give it a second chance. So this is my chance. I'm going to ride it real quick and just see how it works out. Okay, so from this point on, I'm going to be narrating because the wind was way too much on camera and really couldn't hear me talking. So I wanted to try out the seat, the suspension post, and the spring. I can tell you right now, the spring was doing its job, but it was doing its job almost too well. It was compressing, and then it was rebounding, and when it rebound, it kind of felt funny. It would push you forward, and then it would kind of wobble, and that was a kind of a strange feeling. I really didn't like it very much. I am driving with one hand, so yeah, that could be part of it, but even so, it just didn't have that sturdy, I guess, reassuring feeling that you would get with a regular seat post. So the other product I wanted to try out was the suspension post, and as you can see in the video, it really didn't compress very much. Now, it was probably because of the spring. Now, earlier I had tried out my wife's bike with the suspension post and the Cloud9 seat. It worked fine. I couldn't get full leg extension, but that was more because of my height than anything that was wrong with the equipment itself. So I would say that if you are not above 6 feet, you probably would be fine with this seat post on this specific bike, and it does do the job for a decent price. You don't have to spend $100 on a seat post that has suspension built in. But I wanted to give that seat one last try, and I did, and it did not work out very well. About 5 minutes into the ride, I was already starting to hurt from the seat. I thought that maybe the spring and the suspension post would help this seat out, but it didn't. So I would say that the suspension post is good, but the seat, not so good. The spring, not so good. So all in all, the only things I can really recommend are the Cloud9 seat and the suspension post if you want to get a softer ride from your Lectric XP bike. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and you got some information from it, and it helps you in your buying decisions when it comes to your Lectric XP accessories. Anyway, that's my video. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna get the tech out of here. Later. Toasty!